What if I told you that the thing you've been calling healing is the very thing that's been keeping you chained? Stay with me, because what Carl Jung understood about the human psyche exposes a lie so comforting, so widely repeated, that millions of empaths have mistaken their prison for their progress. Here's the uncomfortable truth almost nobody will say out loud. The narcissist hurt you once, but the myth you were handed afterward, that's what kept you trapped for years, and by the end of this you'll finally see it for what it is. The myth goes like this: to heal, you must understand them. You must forgive completely. You must keep working on yourself. Keep processing, keep excavating the pain until you finally reach some magical state of peace. It sounds wise, it sounds compassionate, and according to Carl Jung's actual understanding of the psyche, it's a trap dressed as medicine. Jung said that the psyche seeks wholeness, not endless analysis. But here's what most people miss. There's a difference between integration and rumination, between processing pain and rehearsing it. The healing myth blurs that line on purpose, and the empath, being the most sincere person in the room, falls for it every single time. Listen carefully, because this is where it gets dangerous. The empath is told that their sensitivity means they must keep the door open, keep understanding, keep giving the benefit of the doubt, so they stay in what Jung called identification with the wound. They don't move through the pain, they move into it. They build a home there, and they call it self-work. But Jung discovered something that shatters this entire framework. He said that what you resist persists, but what you obsess over expands. The empath who spends years trying to understand exactly why the narcissist did what they did isn't healing. They're keeping the relationship alive inside their own mind long after the other person is gone. The manipulator left. The manipulation didn't, because the empath took over the job themselves. Here's the part that will stop you cold. According to Carl Jung's concept of the shadow, the things we refuse to face don't disappear. They rule us from below. And the healing myth teaches empaths to face everything except the one thing that would actually free them: their own anger, their own boundaries, their own permission to simply be done. The myth says forgiveness is the finish line. Jung understood something more precise. He said that premature forgiveness is a form of self-abandonment. When you forgive before you've allowed yourself to feel the full weight of what happened, you're not transcending the pain, you're suppressing it. And what gets suppressed doesn't vanish. It goes into the shadow, and from there it quietly poisons everything you touch. The empath wonders why they still feel stuck after doing all the right things. This is why they perform the ritual of healing without ever completing the work of it. But here's where the tables turn completely. Carl Jung called it an antiodromia, the tendency of anything pushed to its extreme to flip into its opposite. And the healing myth, pushed far enough, does exactly that. Endless compassion becomes self-erasure. Constant understanding becomes chronic excuse-making. The relentless search for closure becomes a life spent circling a door that will never open. The virtue turns into the cage. And Jung understood why the empath is so vulnerable to this particular trap. He wrote about the persona, the mask we wear to meet the world's expectations. For the empath, the mask is goodness itself, kind, understanding, endlessly forgiving. So when someone hands them a version of healing that requires them to be even kinder, even more understanding, even more forgiving, it doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like an identity, and no one questions the thing they believe they are. Here's what the awakened empath finally realizes. Real integration, the kind Jung actually described, doesn't require you to understand your abuser at all. It requires you to understand yourself. It doesn't ask you to keep the door open. It asks you to know why you kept walking through it. The work was never about them. It was never about decoding their damage or diagnosing their disorder. It was about reclaiming the parts of yourself you abandoned in order to keep loving people who were never going to love you back. And this is the moment everything shifts. According to Jung's theory of individuation, there comes a point where a person stops seeking wholeness outside themselves and finds it within. For the trapped empath, this is the moment they stop trying to heal the relationship and start healing the pattern. They stop asking, why did they do this to me, and start asking, why did I stay? Not as self-blame, as sovereignty, because the second question is the only one that actually has an exit. Here's what Jung understood that the healing industry conveniently forgot. Some things are not meant to be understood. They are meant to be left behind. The endless quest for insight can itself become an avoidance, a sophisticated way of staying attached to something you should have released. The empath thinks they're doing deep inner work, but sometimes the deepest work is simply walking away and refusing to look back. The transformed empath learns the difference between a wound that needs tending and a wound you keep reopening to make sure it's still there. They stop mistaking suffering for depth. They stop believing that the amount they hurt is proof of how much they cared. Jung called this the return to the self, not a return to some perfect healed version of you. A return to the person you were before you were taught that your pain was a project. And here's the final piece that makes them untouchable. The empath who sees through the healing myth stops chasing closure entirely. They understand what Jung meant when he said that the greatest and most important problems of life are never solved, only outgrown. They don't get the apology. They don't get the understanding. They don't get the clean ending the myth promised them. Instead, they get something better. They get their life back. They realize that healing was never a destination they had to earn through infinite forgiveness and endless analysis. It was a decision they were allowed to make the moment they were ready. And the most terrifying thing to anyone who once controlled them isn't an empath who has processed every wound. It's an empath who simply stopped picking at them, stood up, and left the room without needing permission, without needing to understand, without needing anything at all. That is the empath the myth was designed to prevent. And now that you can see the myth clearly, it has already lost its power over you.